Well, Risers, it's another time for me to tell a story. Now, this story is uh, maybe a tad lengthy. I don't know, but hopefully you guys will watch the entire thing. Um, but if you guys want more of these stories, make sure you like and subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below which of these stories I've told are your favorite. Now then, um, this goes back. This one particular story goes way back on my 12th birthday. Yeah. So I just want to say that my parents are the greatest parents that I could ever ask one. My dad, my mom worked hard for me and my sister, so I'm just appreciate that. I'm just appreciative for that. Um, so yeah, my parents wanted me to, I guess, have like a good day. So I invited my buddy Wayne. Huge shout out to you, Wayne, if you're watching this. Uh, I don't know when you'll watch this, but he had a. Keep in mind, this is around the time when Wayne and his parents were moving close to like the middle school we attended at the time. Or were about to attend. So, and my sister, at this point, was about to be a freshman in high school, and she was taking driver's license, and she was getting driver's lessons, excuse me, from my parents, like during that, like in the summer, like before I entered middle school. And you guys remember in my Christmas story why I mentioned that my uncle had a drunken outburst and we disowned him after that? Yeah, that same uncle has some kind of involvement in this story. More about him in a minute. So it was about around my birthday, me and Wayne. Now I think this is around the time when we did attend middle school, I think. Yeah, around that time. Uh, and over the summer, this is irrelevant to the story, don't worry. Um, Sorry if this story is kind of all over the place. I just remembered it because me and my sister were talking about it. Of course, that summer, my sister, well, my parents taught my sister sometimes, on my dad's day off, he would teach her to drive, and on my mom's day off, she would teach her. But on this occasion, my uncle, the same uncle I mentioned in my Christmas video, uh, where he had his drunken outburst or whatever, uh, he, yeah, it was one day, it was on my birthday, my parents had to go to work early, um, because my parents thought they had a day off that day, but their bosses said, oh, they'll get paid triple if they come in early, like a little earlier than they were used to, and then they would get like a whole next week off or whatever. Again, I'm not gonna mention where my parents worked at or work at because, again, I don't want you guys to go over there and try to get them fired or anything. Although you have no intentions of doing so, I'm still not gonna like say where my parents work because that's private information. I was gonna say PI. That's private information. Anyway, so my uncle had to stay the night with us because he was over fixing our sinks and our bathrooms and in the kitchen. And I think he fixed our air conditioner around that time too. Well, he was actually shutting down the air conditioner, but I think this, yeah, my sister's high school that she attended. Again, I'm not gonna say the name of the high school she attended or the middle school me and Wayne attended because that's, again, private information. So my sister's high school that she attended was like 5 minutes away, so she can drive there. Because my sister used to take, the city bus there, because one of the stops for that city bus was right in front of her school. So you can just, once the bus stops there, she can get off and go there. But she did that for, I think, since 8th grade. Because the middle school we went to was 5 minutes away. As for me though, I get to walk, so. But once in a while, my sister takes me and drops me off. Well, actually, no, every day she does that. And she picks me up because, sometimes my parents work and sometimes they had to stay in work late and sometimes they had to go and work earlier than they used to. So anyway, my uncle, the day before it happened, stayed overnight because my parents both had to get into work early. Because my parents always get up at 5 and, eat breakfast and do what they do, and they leave around like 6, between 6 and 6:30. And they get to work at around like 7. But they had to get up at 3 a.m. to eat breakfast and all that sort. And then they leave the house around between 4 and 5:30, because sometimes my parents, like, I don't know, because my parents like to drop each other off. Sometimes when my mom drives, she drops my dad off at work, and vice versa. So again, I'm not gonna say where my parents work. It's private information. I know some of you are gonna say, well, they have 5 more years to retirement, so why not tell us? I'm not. I'm sorry, I'm just not. And I promised my parents when I tell these stories, I'm not gonna say, where they work and where we went to school and stuff. So I'm keeping my promise to my parents, so please respect that. So the day in question, my uncle, the middle school I went to didn't have to start until like 8:15, if I remember correctly. And my sister's high school, so it's actually, no, I'm wrong. My school starts at 7. The middle school I went to starts at 7:15, and my sister's high school starts at 8:15. So she drops me off since it's already on the way. So she drops me off and she heads to school, and then my school ends at 2:30, and her school ends at 3:30. So sometimes but that's around the time my parents pick me up or take 5 minutes out of their work schedule. And their bosses know me, actually do know me, and they consider me as like the grandson or whatever. My parents' bosses, they consider me as like their grandson, so they allow my parents to pick me up and drop me off. And either my uncle that I talked about in my Christmas throwback story that we disowned after his drunken outburst would stay at home waiting for me, or one of my aunts would stay there, or sometimes both, or I don't know. So my uncle got up. Well, first off, he didn't get up. And you guys can see why we started distancing ourselves from him around this time. Because back then, he was not like this. But I don't know. But I think he had a quick trip to the bar or whatever, and then he got drunk. This is around the time he owned a car, and I think he has a motorcycle now. I don't remember. I don't care to know, since we disowned him and we don't talk to him anymore. And he, I don't know why I said it like that. Me and my sister like to get up at 5 a.m. Well, I get up at 5 a.m. because school doesn't start until 7:15. And the reason why my sister gets up that early too, because although her school doesn't start until 8:15, but she wants to take time to get ready. But sometimes she likes to sometimes she just brushes her hair, and she likes to straighten it whenever the case may be. My uncle, he was supposed to be up around that same time to make us breakfast or whatever. But my uncle decided to not get up until 5 minutes before 6. Like around 5:55. So he just gave us like 2 pieces of bread. He didn't even he gave me like, you know how Pop-Tarts sometimes they came in two? He gave me a Oreo Pop-Tart, and he gave my sister a strawberry one. And so he just gave it to us, and I said, well, I'm just gonna eat it during lunch. I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna be that hungry during lunch anyway. But I have to eat something. So, well, so my sister and I was staring at him, and my uncle was still hungover. He was like, what? Why are you guys looking at me like that? And this is around like when he started being more rude and more aggressive. Not like, not towards me and my sister physically or mentally, just, you know, the way he drinks. I think he still drinks to this day. I don't know, but my sister said, you had to take us to school. Remember you promised our parents yesterday? And he was like, oh shit. Like, I kid you not, guys. Once my sister said that, he looked at her, trying to see if she was messing with him, and then he looked at the calendar, and it was Monday, because the day before it was Sunday. That's when he came over, and then and that's why he stayed over, and then my parents wrote it in the calendar saying, Uncle drops kids off, like with a big red like Sharpie or whatever my parents used. And my uncle looked at the calendar and he was like, oh shit. So what my parents like to do is that around like 6:30 they like to take me to school like before, so I would be there already. So my uncle, being the loving and caring uncle he is, he didn't even bother to get dressed or anything. He just grabbed his car keys, he grabbed his phone and wallet, because I think he was going to go to the bar after he dropped us off or whatever he was going to do. And then he freaking, and let me tell you, my uncle drives like a freaking maniac. The way he drives, he puts Vin Diesel on diapers. That's how crazy my uncle that we disowned. That's how crazy he drives. So he's, I was in the back seat, being 12. My sister was like 15. I don't know. 16. I don't know. I don't know how old I don't remember how old my sister was at the time. So, so he was going fast, and like I said, my school was like 5 minutes away. So he kept missing the school, and then around 6:30 comes, he's about to pass it, and I kept telling him, I was like, Uncle, I'm not gonna say his name because, you know, I was like, dude, we passed my school like 3 times. I keep telling you. And I was like, oh shit. So he's about to make a legal U-turn, and once he did that, that's when the cops showed up, pulled him over, and I think my uncle was still drunk, because I think the amount of times he drinks, sometimes he wakes up the next day, sometimes drunk a little bit, sometimes he wakes up hungover, but this is one of those instances where he is still drunk. And then, by the way my uncle runs while he drunks, he's all like, something like that. If any of you alcoholics out there got a friend, and I am sorry, please don't come after me. So, long story short, he was telling the cop, and I'm just dropping my nephew and my niece off at school. I was about to drop my nephew off, and I was about to drop my niece off of her high school, and my nephew off of his middle school. And the cop, you know, he was telling us to get out of the car, and, you know, he was gonna drop me off at middle school and my sister off of high school. And then that's when Wayne looked and said, hey, what happened? And I told him, my uncle. and Wayne already knew about my uncle, so. And you might be wondering, what does your birthday have to do with this? Well, my birthday was literally that day. The day my uncle was still drunk, and he was like driving freaking crazy fast as shit, pardon my language. That was on my birthday. He did that on my birthday, so yeah. That was the story. Yeah, my uncle almost killed us on my birthday, so thanks, Unc. We still hate you. Anyway, make sure you guys liked the story if you liked it. Crazy on how I still remember this. That was crazy.